Imagine you are fighting. A spear is coming towards your head. You duck or move. You must focus on each move your attacker is making and respond by dodging or blocking a counterattack. You feel in your body a heightened sense of things. Your heart is beating hard. You must exert yourself and you breathe hard. Perhaps time seems to slow, or you may feel overwhelmed by the situation occurring. You have no weapon yourself. You drop the sheep you are holding, which is the cause of the altercation. It runs away, but you have no time to focus. You may feel an urge to either fight against the man who is attacking you, or to flee when you have the chance. The spear holds you back from your attacker. You find you can knock it away and close the distance between you and him, making his weapon less useful as he drops it. Now you must decide your course of action. Perhaps you take the chance to stop the attack completely by hurting the man till he stops or cannot move. Perhaps you run. The noise has awoken the other villagers, and you do not suppose you can fight them all. You knock him down, as you are much bigger than him, but he is not badly harmed. You grab the spear and run back to where you are camped beyond the hills. By the time you've reached the hills, you can see commotion in the village, but it does not seem anyone is approaching you now. You look at the spear. It is carefully carved to be smooth to hold, and the stone on the end has been worked into careful point. It is a dark stone that glimmers in the light. It is bound together with a kind of fabric string that keeps it on the end. By creating such a weapon, you allow yourself to attack from further away, allowing you to avoid being attacked yourself, in theory. The downside is that the weapon is long and unwieldy if your attacker has managed to get close to you. You suppose in this case something small and sharp would help you. You decide to move on quickly in the night to avoid any further interaction with the people. You still have the bread you took in your bag, and you plan to investigate it further when you are at a safe distance. It is hard to get moving with the herd, and you hurry, making mistakes as you slowly go along. Once you are further away, and you slow your pace, you are still breathing hard, and your heart is beating from the fight. You think more about what you might do in another fight situation. So far you've not encountered many people, but now you feel you must be ready for such a situation, even if you do not intend to fight someone. You decide you will keep the spear and create also a weapon which is small and sharp that you can carry on your body in case of a surprise close encounter. You wonder what you would have done to the man you had just fought off if you had such a tool. In general, you suppose it's better to create distance from the attacker if you are not intending to fight. What other tools keep people at bay? On your own when traveling, it is only something you can hold and use like the spear. But if you stayed in one place, what else could be done? You have a tent which keeps out rain and wind. Could you make something stronger that would keep people out? How would you get in and out but stop others? In a group like at the village, you can use a person like a spear who is further out from the others and can deal with the attacker, whilst the rest of the village, like your body, can remain safe. You could build other barriers that prevent people entering somewhere. You could create places for your own entrance and exit and ensure that attackers could only enter through these places and then guard those. You would have to be sure no one could enter through other means. You could place your enclosure somewhere naturally hard to reach, such as on a steep hill or in a deep valley, although that would be a problem for you too if you need to leave. You could camp near a river, and this would stop people from crossing to you easily and quickly from the other side. You stop now and rest. The sun is rising, and you have moved a great distance in the night. The effect of your strange and sweet grapes has worn off, and you feel tired, and you have not slept. Your thoughts on a safe place become an immediate concern, as you do not wish to be attacked whilst you sleep in the day. You find a place with a dense wood and a small clearing that will conceal you whilst you rest, and act as a natural barrier for both attackers and to prevent your sheep leaving. You set up your tent and fall asleep with the spear in your hand. Later you will see about finding a suitable stone to make a short weapon, but for now, you sleep. When you awake, your thoughts turn to the pain in your stomach, which is telling you that you should eat. You pull out the bread that you stole. It is unlike anything you've seen before. Its outside is hard, and when you break it apart, it is soft inside. How did the villager discover that they could turn grain into something like this? It must have taken a lot of time and effort, but for you, it is like a fruit you have picked from a prickly tree. As you eat the bread, you look at the marks on your body. You have no severe injuries, but you can see the bruises on your arms and a small cut. Your body has responded to the blow by changing colour to be dark. The areas are tender. The cut has already stopped bleeding, and your blood has hardened into a protective coating that stops more blood leaving your body, or anything else, getting in. Suddenly you hear something moving in the woods. You stand up with your spear raised and look around you. The movement stops, but you stay on guard. There could be many things moving in the forest, and the benefit it gives you by concealing you also prevents your ability to see what is approaching. You begin to gather your things with the desire to leave, but you suddenly see a figure approach. It is the man who had followed you from before. When you were in the valley, you suppose he had been following you for a distance for some time and watching your movements. You raise your spear to him as he approaches, and you walk slowly towards him. He moves to take a sheep, and the herd begins to back away from him. You consider the loss of one sheep, but in your mind you imagine that if one is taken, how many more will he come back for? He struggles to grab the sheep, which is trying to flee, and you run towards him with your spear. You feel the resistance of his flesh and bone as you drive the spear hard into him. He offers no defense at first, as he was trying to grab the sheep, but now he tries to remove the spear from his body. You continue to push, and soon he no longer resists. You feel the weight of his body on the end of the spear, and lower it, and his body falls to the ground. Once again, you're breathing hard, and your heart is beating fast. You pull out the spear and observe the body. Something has obviously changed in it, but it's hard to say exactly what. Whatever the spear did to the man has taken the life out of him. He no longer breathes and no longer moves. Something was moving his body which is no longer there. As you see his eyes roll in his head, you wonder what this is. Blood is leaving his body and forms a pool around him. You fear that whatever was in the man may return, or that he may suddenly move again, so you bind his arms and legs and decide to put his body somewhere that he cannot leave if this did occur. You also consider that if someone found the dead man and then found you, say one of the villagers from before, that you may invite on yourself more altercations. You drag the body along until you find a small cave in the rocks amongst the woodland. You place him there and take a large stone and place it on top of the body. Now you feel sure that if he did move, he would be stuck. Also, you think that people are unlikely to look in the dark cave and that he will not be found. However, you do not know what to do about whatever left his body that was moving him. Where did it go? If it was something invisible that is now out of his body, could it be right there now? Or was whatever moved him part of his body that can no longer work now it's broken? This thought stays with you for some time. You think about the sheep you've killed for food. What gave life in their body seemed to be something that then made your own body continue living when you ate them. It built up your body. You consider that eating the man might put whatever was in him to be within you. This makes you wonder if you ate some ferocious animal, what it would do to your body. Would it make you more ferocious too? Your sheep are obedient and follow you. If you ate an animal that was more aggressive, would it fight you in your own body and not obey like the sheep? If you ate a man then, would he continue fighting you in your own body? You decide not to eat him just in case. Also, you consider that the sheep has only eaten grass. You'd seen them eat it, and you had a clear idea of what they're made of. If you ate an animal that ate a great many other animals, and they themselves ate many things, what would you find yourself eating that was in their body? It seemed simpler to you to eat something that you had observed eating its food, and therefore know what you're eating. Before, when you'd caught little creatures that scurried around and eaten them, some had made you sick. You wondered what they'd eaten now that went into your body. Some creatures eat tiny, many-legged creatures that scurry around and seem to concern themselves with the feces of other animals. Perhaps now you will avoid eating these if you can. You look down at your hands, which are now covered in blood. You're hungry again, but you do not want to eat with the blood on you. You feel the desire to get clean and wipe away the result of what you've done. You return to the path and wash in the river nearby. The blood is hard to remove from your clothes, and it too has become hard like your own blood did over your cup. It seems that when blood comes out of your body it is wet and moves, and you assume it is this way when it is in your body, just like it seems to be in the sheep you've eaten. But once it leaves, it begins to go hard. Whatever gives you life seems to be tied to this fact of blood. Once you are clean again, and you feel you can return to doing normal tasks, you sit and eat the rest of the bread. Once it's gone, you resolve that someday you will try to make it yourself, if you find a place where you can give time to this. It fills you easily, and you now feel ready to continue moving. As you think more about eating and your body, you think about how the villagers were much smaller than you. You wonder if eating the bread is related. If you eat just bread, does that make your body more like bread? You've eaten sheep for some time, and you consider that your body reflects this fact. If you eat a body of an animal, is it better at building a body? If you eat bread from grain, does it make you more like the grain? When you sleep, you have a dream of fighting the man you have just killed. This time he has a spear, and you have no weapon at all. He charges at you, and as the spear enters your body, you wake up with a start. You look around, but you're alone, and eventually you'll return to sleep. It is morning, and it's time to move again. You pack your things and ready your herd. They graze for a while on a green plain, and as you walk, you feel a wind rising. There's something that smells different about the wind here. As you walk along the plain, you find it starts to rise, and the wind gets stronger. Finally, before you, you see a place where the land no longer continues, and below, a great blue water. The river you've walked alongside opens out and feeds this great pool, which goes on as far as you can see. The water is moving, but differently to the river. It seems to rise and fall and break onto the land below. You've never seen so much water before, and you wonder if anything lies beyond. In the stories of the Bible, there are many times when fighting occurs. The first story we see is in Genesis, where Cain kills his brother Abel. Although we're not given much detail, it seems that Cain attacked Abel, and that Abel was not prepared for such an encounter and died. Cain tries to hide what he did from God, but God explains that the voice of the blood is calling out from the ground to him, and that the ground has now spat upon him, having opened its mouth to drink Abel's blood. The movement of blood in this story seems to imply that the blood that left Abel has been taken in by the ground, and now the ground, either acting on Abel's behalf or offended at taking the blood, now spits it out onto Cain. What effect could this have on Cain? It seems to make him a wanderer, and perhaps implies a kind of mark of blood upon him. Cain can no longer remain in one place on the ground, and he must continue to move. Abel himself was a wanderer with his flock. Does this curse arise as a natural consequence of Abel's blood being upon Cain now? Or has the ground itself rejected Cain, and he cannot remain upon it? Cain also fears that others will kill him for killing, and God prevents this by marking Cain with some kind of sign that he has protection. Cain also seems to be concerned with protection, despite the protection God gives him. He builds a city. In what way does the city attempt to fix the curse of Cain? Perhaps now that he cannot use the land for food, he finds other uses for it in the stones and metals that it contains. He builds walls, and his descendants even find ways to turn metal into other objects. With some of these objects, they made weapons for further protection. In the story of Jacob and Esau, Jacob runs rather than fighting his stronger brother. This allows him to avoid many of the dangers of fighting and the risk of losing, but the result is that he fears a return of his angry brother. There are many other stories that deal with the elements mentioned here, and I invite you to think about them yourself and how they played out. What other options do people have in those scenarios given? If you think of some, perhaps post them below the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next full moon.